It's 5:52 p.m. on a Wednesday. You're stuck in gridlock on whatever freeway has become your personal nightmare. Your phone battery is at 6%. There's a message from your boss you're ignoring. Your neck is throbbing from hunching over a keyboard. And the only thought screaming in your head is, I absolutely cannot make dinner tonight. So you open Uber Eats, Panda Express. Orange chicken bowl is $16. Delivery is $5.50. Service fee is $3.25. You add a $5 tip because you're a decent human being. After tax, it's $36. You tap confirm without even pausing, because honestly, you've been making decisions all day and you're completely drained. You get home. The food is room temperature at best. You eat it while slouched on your couch. You open a drink. You mindlessly scroll social media. You half-watch some streaming show you're not even interested in. And somewhere in there you think, I deserve this. I put in the hours today. And listen, you absolutely did put in the hours. But here's the thing I need you to really think about. That $36 dinner? You didn't just spend $36. My name is Marcus Chen, and I've dedicated an embarrassing amount of time reverse engineering the financial reality of being employed. What I discovered is this. Almost everyone is completely mistaken about what they actually earn per hour. Not because people can't do basic arithmetic, but because the entire employment structure is built to obscure the true calculation from us. You believe you earn $28 an hour because that's what your employment contract stated. Your direct deposit seems to confirm it. But if we actually calculated the numbers the way a financial analyst would, if we examined your employment like a profit and loss statement, the figure we'd arrive at would be so dramatically lower, it would fundamentally transform how you view every purchase, every career move, and every minute you spend commuting. And once you understand it, there's no going back to ignorance. So today, we're going to do something that'll make you uncomfortable. We're going to calculate what you genuinely earn per hour, not the inflated figure on your employment agreement. The authentic number after all the expenses, all the hours, all the invisible costs that accompany employment. I'm telling you up front, this is going to be painful, but it's also going to liberate you. Let's begin with the deception we've all internalized. From graduation day forward, you're conditioned to measure your value by your annual salary. If you earn $62,000 annually, that's roughly $30 per hour. Pretty solid, right? Respectable working-class income. Sufficient to survive on. Except that's not how actual businesses operate. In commerce, if you only examine revenue while ignoring expenses, you collapse. If a pizza shop generates $900,000 in sales but spends $950,000 on ingredients and overhead, that pizza shop is financially insolvent. But regarding our own labor, we only examine the gross income. We completely disregard all the associated costs. And what's being marketed is you. Your hours, your focus, your psychological well-being. And the cost of marketing yourself to an employer is substantially higher than you realize. Let me introduce you to someone we'll call Daniel. Daniel earns $62,000 annually. He works in operations for a mid-sized logistics company in Charlotte. He's 29. He's got a reasonable apartment, a dependable vehicle, and if you asked him, he'd describe his situation as acceptable. According to his paperwork, Daniel earns approximately $30 per hour. But let's examine the forensic accounting. Before Daniel even touches a single dollar, government agencies extract their portion. Federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security contributions, Medicare deductions. After everything, his $30 hourly becomes approximately $23. That's the straightforward part. Everyone understands taxation. But now we must deduct all the expenses that exclusively exist because Daniel maintains this employment. First, transportation. Daniel drives 40 minutes in each direction. That's fuel expenditure. That's vehicle depreciation. That's maintenance appointments, replacement tires, automobile insurance premiums elevated due to his annual mileage. Without this employment, he wouldn't need to drive 15,500 miles annually just to access an office building. That costs him approximately $4,800 yearly. conservative calculation. Then there's the expense of professional presentation. Daniel can't arrive in athletic wear. He requires business casual shirts, trousers, acceptable footwear, professional cleaning when he has accidents, haircuts every 6 weeks instead of every 9 because he represents the company publicly. That's another $1,100 annually he wouldn't expend without this employment. Then arrives the substantial one, the convenience premium. Daniel purchases lunch 3 times weekly because he lacked time for meal preparation on his day off. That's $27 weekly, $1,400 annually. He purchases coffee 4 mornings weekly because he's depleted and the conference call begins at 8:30 a.m. That's another $650. He pays $45 monthly for pet care because he's absent from 7:30 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. and his cat needs attention. These aren't indulgences. These are expenses exclusively existing because of his employment. And then there's the most troubling category, recovery expenditure. This is money Daniel spends merely to recuperate from employment. The Thursday evening social gatherings with colleagues that mysteriously cost $70. The spontaneous weekend excursion to Asheville because he desperately requires escape. The entertainment subscriptions he barely utilizes but maintains because they provide the illusion of existence beyond email notifications. It's the $95 bodywork session following a particularly demanding week. It's the counseling co-payment. It's the miscellaneous purchases he makes digitally at midnight because he's too agitated for sleep, and purchasing provides the sensation of autonomy. This is psychological damage expenditure. And it's costly. When you aggregate everything, the taxation, the vehicle, the wardrobe, the convenience meals, the recovery spending, Daniel isn't genuinely taking home $62,000. The actual disposable income he possesses to construct a life with approaches $36,500. And we're only halfway through this equation. Because compensation isn't exclusively about currency. It's currency divided by hours. And similarly to overestimating the currency, we drastically underestimate the hours. Human Resources claims Daniel works 40 hours weekly. But let's actually document his time. Daniel awakens at 6:45 a.m. He showers, grooms, dresses professionally, prepares coffee he consumes hastily. That's 40 minutes he wouldn't require without this employment. He drives 40 minutes to the facility. That's uncompensated labor. He works 8 hours, technically 9 because there's a 1-hour lunch interval, but he's not genuinely autonomous during lunch. He can't return home. He can't rest. He can't visit his partner. He's geographically imprisoned. Then he drives 40 minutes homeward. Then he arrives and dedicates another 35 minutes merely decompressing, venting to his roommate about condescending meetings, reviewing work communications one final time despite knowing he shouldn't. All of that constitutes shadow labor. It's time belonging to the employment, but the employment doesn't compensate him for it. If you aggregate everything, preparation, commuting, lunch imprisonment, psychological decompression, Daniel isn't working 40 hours weekly. He's surrendering 59 hours weekly to his employment. So let's execute the authentic mathematics now. Daniel actually retains $36,500. He dedicates approximately 3,000 hours annually to employment. That calculates to $12.17 per hour. Not $30. $12.17. Daniel is earning less than the assistant manager at Starbucks. And that assistant manager walks to their location, wears provided clothing, and mentally disconnects the instant their shift concludes. This is the systematic deception. You've been manipulated into an unfavorable economic arrangement where you're simultaneously the enterprise operator and the commodity, and you're operating at a financial deficit. Now, I understand this feels discouraging. You might be thinking, "Wonderful, Marcus. So I'm financially struggling and my employment is fraudulent. What am I supposed to do with this information?" I completely understand. But we're not performing this calculation to demoralize you. We're doing it to provide you clarity. Because once you understand what you genuinely earn hourly, your entire relationship with finances transforms. This concept originates from a publication called Your Money or Your Life, and it's the most transformative perspective adjustment I've ever encountered. Here's the mechanism. Let's say you determine your authentic hourly compensation is $11 per hour. Now you enter a retail store and observe a jacket you somewhat desire. It's $77. The price label states $77, but your cognition needs to translate that. That's not $77. That's 7 hours of your existence. 7 hours sitting in traffic, responding to communications you find meaningless, absent from meals with people you cherish. Is that jacket worth 7 hours of your existence? Suddenly, the response is almost invariably negative. This isn't about deprivation. It's about precision. It's about understanding what items actually cost in the currency that matters: your time. This is also where you recognize promotions can become entrapments. Let's say Daniel receives advancement to operations supervisor. They offer him an $11,000 increase. Sounds excellent, correct? But now Daniel must remain late 4 evenings weekly, so he orders delivery 4 evenings weekly instead of preparing food. That's $1,700 annually he wasn't expending previously. He must dress more formally, so he purchases 3 new professional outfits. That's $900. His stress level triples, so he schedules a more expensive wellness retreat. That's another $2,200. And his commute extends because now he must physically attend the office 5 days weekly instead of 3. When you actually execute the calculation, Daniel's authentic hourly compensation might actually decrease following the promotion. He's processing more currency through his existence, but he's retaining less of it, and he's sacrificing more of his life to obtain it. This is the golden imprisonment. We accept the increase because the figure appears larger, but we don't audit the expenses accompanying it. And here's the element that genuinely disturbs my sleep. There's an invisible opportunity expense to all of this. Every dollar you expend on employment-related expenses is a dollar that's not compounding for your future. That $5.50 beverage you purchase every morning because you're too exhausted to prepare it domestically? Over 30 years, invested at 7% returns, that's $203,000. You're not consuming a beverage. You're consuming your financial independence. You're consuming the asset that could eventually purchase you liberation from requiring the employment initially. The structure is engineered to maintain you too depleted to recognize this. They want you thinking, I earn satisfactory income. So you continue leasing the desirable apartment, continue financing the automobile, continue subscribing to services, continue expending currency to make the employment tolerable, which maintains you imprisoned in requiring the employment to afford the items you purchased to cope with the employment. It's a flawless Xunhuan. And the exclusive escape is recognizing the cycle for what it represents. So what do we actually do about this? The solution isn't abandoning your employment tomorrow and inhabiting a recreational vehicle. We have financial obligations. We have responsibilities. I'm not discussing fantasy. The solution is ruthlessly optimizing your authentic hourly compensation. This becomes your new measurement. Not your income, not your professional title, not what your professional networking profile displays. Efficiency. Can you negotiate remote work 3 days weekly? If you do, you preserve 4 hours of commuting and $18 in fuel. You just provided yourself an increase without your employer paying you a cent additionally. Can you meal prepare on your day off so you stop purchasing $14 grain bowls? That's reducing your operational costs. Can you relocate closer to employment? Can you stop purchasing clothing you don't genuinely prefer to impress colleagues you don't genuinely value? Every dollar of employment expense you eliminate is a dollar of autonomy. But the most significant transformation isn't tactical. It's psychological. You must begin treating your labor like you're the chief financial officer of an enterprise. An intelligent enterprise doesn't exclusively pursue revenue. It pursues profit margin. Your existence is the enterprise. Your margin is the time and currency you possess remaining after you've financed staying alive and employed. If you're earning $95,000 annually, but expending $89,000 and working 65 hours weekly to generate it, You're not succeeding. You're a financially unstable corporation. You're one disruption away from collapse. But if you earn $48,000, expend $27,000, and work 37 hours weekly, you're healthy, profitable, and resilient. You're genuinely succeeding. Here's what I want you to do this weekend. Not this evening. You're exhausted. Do this Sunday morning when your cognition is clear. Sit down and actually calculate your authentic hourly compensation. Aggregate your transportation expenses. Be honest about your taxation. Document your recovery expenditure for a month if necessary. Then divide your authentic take-home currency by the total hours you dedicate to employment. Write that figure on an adhesive note and position it somewhere you'll observe it daily. My real wage, $13.25 per hour. And the subsequent time you proceed to purchase something, observe that figure. Ask yourself, am I willing to exchange 5 hours of my existence for this item? That simple friction will preserve you more currency than any budgeting application ever could. We're existing in an era where time is the ultimate currency. Wealthy individuals are purchasing time. The remainder of us are marketing it excessively cheaply. Don't market your time cheaply. Examine your authentic expenses. Eliminate the hidden costs that deplete you. Construct a gap between what you earn and what you expend, because that gap is where freedom exists. If this video made you reconsider what you actually earn, share it with someone who appears exhausted at employment. We're all imprisoned in the same dysfunctional equation, but we can calculate our way out of it collectively. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.